Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're taking a look at something that many people have requested. A little bit more of a deep dive into than we provided earlier, and at which point today we have decided it is time. We are going to tackle the beasts. Now, we've already gone through the base, obviously all the things you can do here. We haven't touched on the exploration jeep. This is a brand new thing that I'll talk about very quickly. This is basically just another weekly event where every single week you have the ability of going through levels. Every level you go through provides you with rewards. The higher up you go, the better your weekly rewards. It provides you the capability to ask for help 3 times and help 5 people a week to complete their levels. It provides you the capability of choosing buffs, which we will go over and give you tips and tricks on how to do. All right. Part of this entire experience is understanding how the beasts work so that you have a better operation with it. Okay. Now, first and foremost, you have to understand a couple things about the beasts. The beasts themselves are their entire own thing. Okay. They operate independently outside of the basic aspects of the game for the most part. What that means is they only engage in battle and deal damage to opposing beasts until that opposing beast doesn't have HP, at which point their damage is then converted to troop loss. But for the most part, if you're consistent with keeping your beast HP up and only fighting when your beast has HP, you will in theory never take beast damage. Because as long as your beast has HP, they will always engage with each other first. Okay, so that's kind of a concept to understand. The beasts will always engage with each other first. They will not do damage, anything else. They don't engage while there's HP there. So there's some benefit to that. Once we understand that they fight each other first, it removes a lot of the confusion. Because the confusion is people don't understand how these actually engage in battle, right? They don't understand how they engage in combat. But the truth is, it works just as described, okay? The subtleties come in how you pair them. The subtleties come in how you level them. The subtleties come in how you use them and obviously where you're going to have them. Okay, so let's talk first and foremost. We've already gone through, like I said, we've already done a deep dive into all of the beasts to talk about what they do, what their focus is, and things like that, right? I'll give you a quick precursor. The hammer pangolin from the physical side is going to be more for your garrison. The undead bull from the physical side is going to be more for your rally. The grass, the water, and fire will be typically used for your field battle stuff. And in reality, it's used for where you need it the most. Some people are going to say that blue does better with basic attacks or with riders because it increases basic attack damage from the squad heroes, right? So it increases the basic attack damage, so maybe that'll do better with riders. Whereas grass provides shield and counter, reducing basic attack damage reduction of squad heroes. So now they're taking, so maybe this is better for infantry. Whereas this one here, because it's talking about massive damage, skill damage, maybe this one's better for ranged. Which you can make those arguments, but the truth is, it also depends on your account. If you already have a lot of skill damage, right? If your heroes already have a lot of skill damage, it might not be a benefit to increase more skill damage by a small amount. Maybe it'll be more benefit to add basic attack damage instead. You see what I'm saying? So although there may be some things that are kind of leaning them one way or the other, it's all dependent on your account and diminishing returns. We've said this during armaments. It's the same with beasts. If you think about beasts like another form of armaments, it makes things a little bit at least for me, it made things a little bit easier to understand. Okay? Now, when we talk about beasts, the biggest thing to understand with them is that obviously there's a lot of ways to level them up. For example, I've invested a ton into my crystal pangolin. Not money, but I mean resources, right? Level 82 is not easy to get to. It takes 1.2 million experience now just to get one level to level 3. Whereas if I look at a level 27, for example, leveling it up only takes 835,000 for a legendary, right? If I look at a level 28 here, for example, to level it up, it's only going to take 700,000. Versus, how much was this again? 1.3 million, 1.2 million. So the experience goes up exponentially the higher you get. However, it increases your HP, your attack, and your defense of your beast. Okay? That's not going to change any of these other attributes, your crit counter, things like that. That's simply updating your basic attributes here, your HP, your attack, and defense. Okay? The special attributes of your beast, crit damage, counter damage bonuses, crit damage, things like this, counter damage bonuses, effect stat bonuses, pardon me, all come from promoting and increasing potential. So if you'll also notice, I currently have 450 of 500 in the basic potential done, which increases my attack, defense, and HP. But I've also spent a lot of my pristine life increasing these stats and attributes, right? So on this next one, for example, I'm going to increase my counter damage and my crit damage by a certain percentage, which will add that to its attributes here. But remember, this is all entirely its own individual process. What I mean by that is this is all combat damage that's only dealt to other beasts. It gets converted, okay, at a lower rate than what it says. So for example, if you look at some of these reports, let's see if I can pull up a report here for you. I should have some reports because we did just go through IR. But we didn't have a lot of tower fights. We had some, but not very many. Here's a prime example. Okay? 879,000 damage does not equate to 879,000 damage. Okay? 879,000 damage equates to the damage it dealt to this beasts, as well as the conversions into lost troops. Right? I've seen some where you have the total damage here is 10 million. But we're not talking 10 million lost troops because there's conversion. Right? So let's look back here again. Let's look at those materials, or not materials, sorry. We're looking at beasts. And we're looking at these attributes. Okay? So as we level them up, as we've looked at here, I've put a lot of this into my potential. The more that we upgrade these stats, right? Crit, counter, physical reduction, crit damage, counter crit. The higher you rank those, right? The higher you rank these, the higher your trigger chance. But there is a hefty drop-off the more that we increase those numbers. So this is where we start to ask the question of how do we pair them together? Because the very easy answer to that would be matching them with their counterpart, right? Match the hammer pangolin with the crystal pangolin inside your garrison and you'll do really well. And you're right, you will do really, really, really well. That's not a question. But in theory, all you're getting there is crit and counter. And unfortunately, the higher that these numbers go, the lower the percentage of trigger rate is. And I'll give you a prime example of what I mean. If I look here at a max level, okay, a max level pangolin is going to provide 168 crit and 336 counter. Okay? Now that 168 crit turns into a 21% chance to trigger. Okay? Whereas 336 turns into only 35%. So I'm getting more of a value for these low numbers, right? 168 gives me a 21% chance to trigger, whereas that higher number, 336, only provides me 35%. So we're starting to see that drop off, which basically means what you want to do to ensure that you're doing as much damage with your beasts as possible is to balance out your combo, your crit, and your counter. Because if you can have your beast dealing combo crit and counter damage every round, right? It's far more efficient in the damage that you're doing than by, for example, dealing a ton of counter damage every single time. Only counter damage and then having, counter damage increase from there. Yes, I'm still doing counter damage and I'm doing it decently well. There's no argument there. But we're missing out on a huge chunk of damage. So although I could go ahead and pair this guy here, let's look at his, for example. 21 gives me 25, whereas 42 gives me 41. So again, the higher I go, the less the value is. Okay, let's look at mine at the low end. Because I'm not fully awakened yet, and I'm not fully attributed. I've only got 48 crit and 96 counter, but let's take a look at that. 48 crit gives me a 7.5% chance, and 96 gives me almost 14%. So the lower that I have here, the more the influence. And that switch over to it being less expensive the higher you go seems to happen around the 300 mark. So ideally what you want to try to do is balance approximately you want to balance the skills equally. At least this is the kind of what I've seen. This is the kind of way that I've broken it down. I've spoken to Zed about it too. He's done an extensive amount of research into this. Going through reports and stuff like that. But a lot of it comes down to simply understanding that your goal is to basically have your beast do as much damage as possible. And there are 3 skills to be able to do that. So if you can trigger all 3 of these skills, which aren't specific. So you're going to ask yourself, well, how do I get combo now if this beast is only providing me crit and counter, right? Well, let's look over here. The general crab provides combo, okay? When I get those special attributes up for the crab, once I, level him up, let's go look at the leveled up crab, right? At max level, this man is bringing 525 combo. He's not bringing crit or counter, which is totally fine, but he's bringing a bunch of combo. Now, granted, I'm not getting all of that exchange, right? I'm not getting all of that. I'm only getting a percentage of that based on my experience, right? But I'll give you a prime example. If you look at the beasts from my support animal, right? I'm still getting 6,500 HP. I'm getting 40% of those stats. So the higher my support animal is, and once I get that support animal, see, my support animal is providing squad damage reduction because he has that. Once I awaken him with potential and with pristine life, he will provide combo to this march, which then allows me to trigger all 3 capabilities inside the same march. And for me, and according to damage scaling and according to that kind of stuff, it's more beneficial that way. It's not just about pairing them with each other. It's really kind of pairing them with their opposite sides, their opposite attachments, right? So, for example, here we're talking crit and counter. Now I could put him with an Ash Sabertooth and just deal a bunch of damage. That would be fine too, just to increase, right, your crit counter and your combo damage and stuff. That wouldn't be a problem. But ideally what you want to kind of do is pair them together. Pair them with ways that will balance it. So on a rally, I've got crit and combo. Well, maybe I want to pair it with some counter. And if I'm rallying something as an infantry main, maybe I want to have that shield for extra damage defense, right? Extra tank ability on that rally. Dealing counter damage, dealing crit and combo means that my rally is going to do more, and with that shield benefit might actually benefit from being a little bit tankier. Now, don't get me wrong, the shield is what it is. It's a shield aspect. Makes you tankier. Good for infantry, yada, yada, yada. But this becomes my point. There's tons of playability. There's tons of choice. It's not just about who's best to pair with what. Because in reality, it's all based on not only the beasts that you have, the beasts that you can acquire, but really what you want to do with it, where you're going to invest your resources. But my best advice, right? Because that's really what it comes down to Beast. That's it for Beast. It's not a huge, difficult thing to think about, right? Just like everything else, think about them like another piece. Hyper-focus them in what you want to do. I, for example, am a Garrison main, so everything I'm doing is going into my Garrison line. Does that mean that the rest of my Beast line suffer a little bit? Yes, obviously that does. But I'm not out here spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to make sure that I've got 5 marches of Beasts. I've got 1 good march of Beasts that even when, and let's look back at that report here, okay? Even when we look back at that battle report, okay? Where was that battle report? We look back at this battle report, we end up losing these trades, right? He's got better heroes. He's got better armaments. He's got better levels. He's got better heroes, right? His armaments are better leveled, right? 453, so I'm a little higher there. 536, he's higher there. 510, he's higher there. I'm a little higher there. He's higher there. So he's got better armaments than me. A level 5 IE augmenter. I've only got the nano purifier. Right? So he's way better armaments than me. His vehicle's higher level than mine. So he's doing better than me in that aspect. But look at this. My Beasts dominated him, and this is something that allows us to not only sustain, but not get as negative a trades. A lot of that comes from the support from my Beasts. I get melted on the field, no problem, but my Garrison is something I'm quite proud of. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? And that's why I focus this so heavily in every video, because it depends on a couple of main metrics. Number 1, how much do you honestly spend in the game, or how much are you prepared to spend in the game? If the answer is none or very little, you're going to hyper-focus more than the average player. If your answer is a lot to an undetermined amount of money, then you can do whatever in this game you want. But for the majority of players, trying to build balance in your account isn't going to work. You need to hyper-focus. And it's the same with Beasts. Work on them one at a time. Don't try to spread them out. Don't try to do 5 marches of Beasts. Right? Even if you send, these weakened ones, these ones are fine. You're still getting bonuses to them. I still use them in the field as a way to prevent bonus damage. Because like I said, the Beasts will deal damage to each other first. So they're a good way to defend against that bonus damage, even if they're just sponges. But you have to use it and think about it the same as what you would armaments. Armament sets, you work one at a time. Work one line at a time. Make sure your one line is good. Same with Beasts. Make sure you've got a good pairing and work on those Beasts. Yes, I have this. I've got a General Crab, but he's only level 1. I've got a Volcano Rhino, but he's level 0, pardon me. He's not even upgraded once. He's not even promoted once. Everything that I get, all of my frags go into making sure that I can rank up and reach the potential on my pangolin first. Once I do this, I can decide where to go from there. But it's all done the same thing, okay? Now, that's going to be enough of me harping on you guys to do the same stuff I've been talking about. So let's continue this entire community experience by simply saying, if you liked everything that you saw, go ahead and click that like button. Comment down below what you used to think Beasts are, and comment down below if this helped you understand Beasts more. Because like I said, the tough part about this game is that there's not a lot of description on how to do it properly. So if this helps, let me know. If it doesn't, and if you still have questions, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. Share today. Fill out the notification bell. Join to become a member. Love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.